Just spent the last 30 minutes listening to the President of the United States give a speech in Selma, Alabama, commemorating the march there, 50 years. I got a special guest with me on the live line, and I got a special guest sitting across the table with me. The Squares is in the building, y'all. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J is right now.
Open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying, then they must be half stepping. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J is live, and we in the building. Be down with us at 804-402-2893 to be down with the flagship show right here live on Legacy Internet Radio, y'all. We appreciate everybody that's checking for us tonight. Be down with us at 804-402-2893. We got a lot to get into tonight. I'm not going to tease none of it. If I did, it would bore you at the beginning. You just got to keep on listening so you can hear where we going. Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J is sponsored by Live Action Captions as well as Free Spirit Enterprise. 7 days a week, Legacy Internet Radio. We'll get into all of the shows and everybody that we have down with us as we progress through the night. You just spent the last couple of hours celebrating the life and legacy and music of Christopher Wallace, also known as the Notorious B.I.G. Of course, we know we lost him 18 years ago today. I know where I was on that day. We'll share some thoughts about him if we have an opportunity later on in the show. Of course, just now, you just spent the last 30 minutes listening to the speech that was given by the President of the United States of America down in Selma, Alabama, commemorating the march that took place 50 years ago this week in Selma, Alabama. So, you know, we got a lot going on here. We got a lot going on in the world. We got a lot going on in social media. And we're glad that you're here to celebrate it with us here tonight. So without any further ado, I'm going to go around the room as well as on the live line and get everybody that is a part of the discussion in so we can get everybody in. Of course, joining us as he does from time to time here on Legacy Internet Radio, we got my brother, my partner, and my friend on the live line with us. We got my brother K-Dub is with us. What's up, brother?
Peace to the fam. B.I.G. lives forever, baby.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you, man. You doing all right?
I'm good, man. I'm good, relatively good, and I mean, I'm actually doing even better because I don't know about our listeners, but the weather in the A is on fire. Just wanted to rub that in for all of y'all that still see snow out your window.
All right, man. You ain't got to do all that, man. You try to act all funny and stuff. It's fire. It's fire here in Richmond too, man. What's wrong with you, man? You try to act like you the only one that got nice weather, brother?
Not at all. Just basically rubbing that in. Don't even worry about it. Just rubbing that in.
So is that for our family up in Jersey?
Basically.
Yeah. So can I piggyback that and co-sign it with you? Can I do that?
Sure.
Too? Hey, yo, this is for the people in Jersey that K-Dub and Marcus J grew up with. Yo, it's warm here. It was like 62 degrees here in the RIC, the capital city of Virginia. What was it in ATL down in Georgia? What was it, man?
73 yesterday, and I was on the porch yesterday.
Yeah,
Believe that.
you had shorts. That's what it is. My brother, I appreciate it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Of course, you hear our sister joining us every single second Monday of the month right here on Legacy Internet Radio. Got my sister joining us right now. I see her across the room with a bugged out shirt on. We got to ask her about that. Got my sister Tony here. What's up, girl?
Hi there.
How you are doing today?
I'm doing much better, thank you.
Wonderfulness. Appreciate it. So the shirt's bugged out. I can't really
What do you mean
describe
bugged
it.
out?
I mean, you just got like a smiley face Miss Pac-Man or Mr. Pac-Man looking dude with headsets on. What's up with the shirt, man?
Well, it's actually the boyfriend's shirt.
Okay.
And
So he's the weirdo, not you.
oh, absolutely. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
this is not my style, but
Okay.
I have on leggings, and I just needed something long enough to cover.
So basically, your stuff's in laundry and you rocking his joint.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, it's not like, the TV movies where you see the lady in the crisp white shirt after, it went down. And
You
she's
know
wearing his
what?
shirt and her panties. That's sexy. But the fact that you rocking his shirt and it looks like a hip hopper with his headsets on, it's kind of weird. But I mean, it's his. So I guess it's sexy to
But
y'all.
you know him, so you know.
Yeah.
Like this fits him.
No, that's cool. Shout out to the boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? And we need to get him in here. So if he's listening right now, where you at, man?
We do.
Bring him in
We
here.
do.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Of course, I look across the table, and he's scheduled to be here on the third Monday of the month. But damn it, he come in here whenever he want. Have time. I don't know when he coming. I ain't know when I looked up and saw him today. I saw the Dapper Don. We call him Uncle Phil, but I call him my big brother. We got Big Bro Joe is in this room. What's up, my brother? What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Marcus J? What's good with you today?
Man, you know what? This dude is so dapper with it, y'all. His shirt and tie matches his tablet. You know what I mean? Like, his shirt and tie matches his tablet. Do you mean to tell me that tomorrow, if you rock a different tie, you're going to have a different jacket on your tablet, man?
Oh, no.
Of course.
Oh my goodness!
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean,
That's
he's.
what I'm talking about. Y'all
I'm-
ain't ready.
I'm telling you, man, he about as clean as it gets, man. And I was trying to think of a cool analogy, but I couldn't think of one. I couldn't even think of one because he too clean for me to think of one that quick. My brother.
Sharp as a rat turd. That's what I'm on.
Hey, clean as the board of health. What's going on? Happy belated, my brother.
Yo, what's up there, Dub?
Yo, man, the squares is in the room, man. I want to appreciate you being here, holding me down in the ATL. I want to appreciate you being here, Big Bro Joe. Let's get right to it, man. We just spent the last 30 minutes here, Big Bro Joe and Miss Tony and yours truly, in studio. We were sitting here listening to the speech that was given by the President of the United States of America, President Barack Hussein Obama, the 44th President of our United States. And he gave a speech over the weekend on the bridge in Selma, Alabama, the same bridge where we know it went down. And so, Dub, I want you up first, man. Tell me your thoughts about what you heard in the speech, what you know about the history. Set it up, man. Set off the discussion as we round table it.
Well, of course, 50 years ago, yesterday there was the what they call Bloody Sunday. And yesterday, or better yet, I should say this, the past weekend, they went down to commemorate that particular event, which was kind of the spark to lead it led to voting rights for minorities, more specifically Black Americans. I think that over the weekend, the ceremonies and things like that was great. From what I could see, I know some people personally that attended it, took some awesome pictures. I'm sure that just like any other event, the historical part of it kind of hit them, and it was real good to see a lot of people bring their children to see exactly this history instead of always watching the black and white grainy film or reading it in a book or reading it somewhere online. I think it was good. There's a part of me that kind of, I wasn't really to the grandstanding that was going on specifically by politicians and community leaders, but that's something that you have to kind of take with events such as that. But overall, I enjoy what I did watch on it. I enjoyed the president's speech, and it was good to see John Lewis there. He's one of the people that's definitely synonymous with the Edmund Pettus Bridge crossing or what have you. So overall, I would say, man, I was pleasantly enjoyed it.
Tony, what you think about it?
So I heard a portion of the president's speech, and I thought it was marvelous. I did not actually watch the event take place, and I haven't heard the whole thing, which I plan to do, but I was very impressed by his words and the passion with which he spoke, and just the commemoration itself of the event. I did enjoy the movie. I don't know how many of you guys actually saw it. I know you saw it.
Of course.
And I also think that it's wonderful that some of the local school districts are sponsoring events so that students can actually go and see the movie Selma for free. And I think that's awesome. And I hope that parents are taking advantage of that to allow their children to do that.
I thought that was really cool, Tony, because I saw that not only is that happening here in the local Richmond, Virginia area, but that is spreading out all over the country.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of civic groups and nonprofit groups that are jumping in where the schools actually can't pay for it because of their bureaucratic reasons. They're jumping in and they're paying for, schools to go and take the students to see the movie Selma for free. Well, obviously for free for the students. So I think that's a good idea. Big Bro Joe, Selma, here's a perfect opportunity. You can either talk about the movie if you've seen it. You can talk about the president's speech. You can talk about the history. We got it on the table. It's properly set up. Any thoughts you may have, jump in here, Big Bro.
I'm gonna go to my controversial section for me. I haven't seen the movie. I actually got a chance to sit down and talk to my pops and mom, and they gave me a little bit of better background history on what was going on. So I really do plan to see the movie. As a matter of fact, this weekend. Shame on me for not seeing it as of yet. But I was just kind of bugging off of what the New York Times did, where they actually cropped out George Bush in the photograph, the official photograph, where they put on front page, where they had Obama walking with who was it again? Democratic
John Lewis
and Al Sharpton, and they cropped out George Bush. Of course, Fox had to throw a monkey wrench in it and think that they had to say something a little sketchy. But
right.
Shout out to the Times.
I look at it like this, man. I think you whack as hell for cropping out George Bush, and I might take a hit for that, and that's fine. If I do, I just do. But the truth of the matter is, he was there. And we know his brother's running for president, and we get the symbolism and all of that. We get all of that. But what other ex-president was there? I didn't see everybody's favorite ex-black president, Bill Clinton, there.
True.
I didn't see, the peanut guy who lives one state over, Jimmy Carter there. You know what I mean? So I didn't.
Stop saying ex-black president.
Well, I say that with my tongue firmly in my cheek because it's one of the most offensive things that any black person can say, in my opinion, that Bill Clinton was the first black president, because we know that there was one before, a real one, even before Bill Clinton. K-Dub, tell us the history about the black president before Bill Clinton. All
right, real quick. John Hanson, he was actually the president of the congressional... I'm congressional before the United States became the United States, and he was a black man. But what a lot of people don't understand is that in actuality, Dwight Eisenhower, he would be considered black, such as what we consider Barack Obama being black, because his mother is a mulatto. Her name was Ida Stover, and she married his father, Dwight David Eisenhower. And together they had like 6 kids, and basically Dwight Eisenhower was one of the kids. And basically 1/32 drop black blood makes you considered black.
I'll put it to you like this:
so,
Dr. Charles Drew, who died on what would be my birthday on June 3rd. In 1950, whatever year it was, in Greensboro, North Carolina. To look at him, anybody who saw Dr. Charles Drew saw a white man. But when he crashed his car and they found out that he, in fact, was a black man, they chose not to take him to the white hospital. They took him past the white hospital to the black one. And the little bit of time it took for them to get him there was all the time it took for him to succumb to his injury. So we know that little bit is, that matters. At least it did back then. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J. 804-40228. 9-3. We're going to transition from Selma and the discussion with Selma, simply because, we know what went on there 50 years ago. We know what went on there this weekend. We know the commemoration is obviously appropriate. We know the right wing had issues with it. They're going to have issues with anything that this president actually does. The fact that he connected his election and the lack of voting, and the fact that they have, voting laws that are opposed to, minorities. And I say that with my tongue firmly in my cheek, but minorities get into the polls. We know that, they have issues with regards to that. Hey, look, man, they see a black dude in the White House, so they're going to have a problem with that. And so I don't want to spend a whole lot more time on that, because I think we've kind of talked it to death with regards to how folks in the media view our president. But what I really want to talk about is a couple of other things that happened over the weekend. And the first thing I want to get into, Dub, you at first, and we're going to bring Joe and Tony in after you comment, is the Ferguson, Missouri police officer. He is a Ferguson, Missouri sergeant who, just out of pure coincidence, was the superior officer to the officer Darren Wilson. Darren Wilson, we know, was the police officer who shot and killed Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri back in August of last year. The superior officer to him was recently fired because of racist emails that was sent out. The email suggested that by terminating African American, and I don't like that phrase, I'm reading an article from Countercurrent News, by terminating black pregnancies, crime would drop. This line of thinking, of course, characterized the patterns of racial discrimination that was uncovered by the Department of Justice report on Ferguson. But the officer who wrote the email in particular, of course, as I mentioned to you, was the supervisor of Darren Wilson. The email back in May of 2011 was sent by Police Sergeant William Mudd saying, quote, any African American woman in New Orleans was admitted into a hospital for pregnancy termination. 2 weeks later, she received a check for $5,000. She phoned the hospital to ask who it was from. The hospital said Crime Stoppers. I mean, that's hardcore, man. That's hardcore.
Oh, my bad.
That's hardcore. And there's a couple of other things in here that's a little bit too graphic that if this was the Green Room version 2.0 that you hear, the Green Room version 2.0 with Jay Grizzly and Alyssa P that you hear on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, if this was the pregame that you hear on Fridays at 8 p.m., or even All Throttle Radio that you hear on Thursdays, or the listening party where the language is a little bit more relaxed, you might hear me say a little bit more. There was one more, Dub, that I want you to hear before I comment on, where they talked about the president, and I'm not going to read the email, I'm just going to paraphrase, where they said that they didn't expect black men in Ferguson to keep jobs because the president of the United States is a black man, and they were shocked that he kept a job for 4 years. These are the people who were investigating the crime that led to the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Dub, I said enough. It's your turn to speak. What you got, my brother?
Well, I'm going to kind of say it like this. I know we're on radio or the internet, but a show of hands of anybody that's surprised. Anyone? Oh, okay. And I say that to say this, man, and I harken back to a comment that I made a few years ago on your show. I said that, more and more, especially since 2008, since the president has been in office, you're starting to see more and more outright, just blatant disregard for, just black people, period. But it's not surprising. These people, this has been going on for years. I think that through social media, it's just being more social media, more news outlets, so on and so forth. There's so many more, so you have that need for information. So these stories are out there and they're being more put out to the public. But for some reason, I'm not surprised at the comments within the email. I'm not surprised in regards to the comments that the other guys said in regards to the president. It's not surprising, and that's sad. That's real wild to actually hear these things and not okay. Because let's be honest, about something else, let's say 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 3 months from now. The comment that I made on your show before, in regards to Trayvon Martin, I said, we have these types of incidents, whether it's a killing by Trayvon Martin or something that just happens to black people, a black person that's real wild and racially motivated. One situation, and then we'll be upset. We'll display our displeasure. We'll have all of these things on television that'll say we need to sit down and have that talk. It'll kind of fade away, and then 6 months later we'll be back talking about the same thing. Damn, did you hear about this, or did you see this, or did you hear about how this person said this? So, unfortunately, and it's sad to say, I'm not surprised, and neither I think shouldn't the listeners, But and I can't even say that I know what the actual answer is to rectify it. But all I can just sit back and just be like, is what I said earlier. That's wild, man. that's real wild.
That's crazy. Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J. Big Bro Joe, I know you're listening to K-Dub. You're listening to the course of the conversation. What you got, man?
I'm it's crucial for me sometimes. K-Dub, I'm listening to you, and it won't stop. Excuse me. It won't stop. It has to stop, but it won't stop. And like you said, we're not surprised. Listen, folks, it's been happening to us for how long? And I say us because as a group of people, as what I am, a black man, we have to fight for everything that we want, everything that we do, and everybody's always trying to throw a monkey wrench in what's going on to better us. I mean, we do it to ourselves on occasion. A lot of times, let me change that. But like you said, K-Dub, it doesn't surprise me, shock me. I'm not shocked by any of those things anymore. I'm just like, listen, what do we have to do to move forward? Now, the only thing that does raise the hair on the back of my neck is if we continue to allow stuff to happen and we don't speak out. I'm a fair person when I sit there and say that in order to effect change, sometimes you have to fight. Now, that doesn't always mean, as my pops would say, fisticuffs, young man, but it does mean that you have to stand up for what you believe and work on the things that you see.
Tony, what you think about it?
I'm with you guys. Y'all know I'm never surprised by any of those types of comments, remarks, or any of those things. But it does, like K-Dub said, it was funny when I was watching last week's episode of Scandal. I don't know how many of you guys saw that episode. And it was very similar to what happened in Ferguson. And, my significant other and I were watching the show, and, we're both like, oh, we're very interested to see, how this plays out. How are they going to wrap this up? And I said, I'm sitting here watching this, but I haven't heard anybody say anything about Ferguson in forever until they published the findings of the federal investigation last week. I hadn't heard anybody talking about it for, a good 2-3 weeks at least.
But we know why, because they're always trying to sweep stuff under the rug and keep it moving.
Right, but we can't leave, and my comment was, we cannot leave it up to the media to keep reminding us that these injustices are happening. We can't just wait for them to remind us, oh yeah, that's right. Remember what happened in Ferguson? We got to act again. No, it needs to be an ongoing thing. We need to all day, every day, be pushing for change and not just waiting for them or allowing them to tell us what's important to us right now.
Well, let's think about it like this. Think about the movie Selma. 50 years yesterday.
Right.
50 years.
Right.
How much have we truly studied and heard about Bloody
Sunday?
Bloody Sunday. For me,
right,
for my kids, they haven't really heard about that. I mean, well, I take that back. Mine have, but that's just another piece that we duck behind or we hide. And you know what? Like you said, we have to make sure that we are teaching our young folks what it's about and showing them how to make sure we effect those changes. We can't allow or leave it up to somebody else. Because like you said, and I'm going to put that out there again. Fox News will sweep it under the rug and make something else out of it, blah, blah, blah.
What it really is. And, Dub, when you and I talked about this, and I haven't had an opportunity to talk with Tony. We haven't talked in a couple of days. I know, Joe, You and I talked about this. We talked about Scandal, Tony, and I'm so glad that you brought this up because, you know, I rarely watch Scandal live. I usually am a day or two behind Scandal, but because we had bad weather here in the Richmond area on Thursday evening, you know, I was at home and I actually watched it live. So I'm watching it, and the thing is, and this is relevant to our discussion. That's why I'm so glad you brought it up, because when you watch that episode, it was a fictional account of something that was so real, where you saw a young male. And we make it black because we black and we sensitive and we know that this happens disproportionately to us. But if you saw that father, you didn't see his color really. You saw a father.
Absolutely.
And you saw the fact that a TV show paying attention to what's going on the news, paying attention to what's going on in the real world, and took the opportunity to fictionalize it and reach people. Man, when I was watching it, just like I'm like 10 minutes in, and I'm like, yo, I wanted to give Shonda Rhimes a hug because I knew the chance that she took.
Right.
She took the kind of chance. She took the kind of chance that could be a career killer if it wasn't coming from someone that was super powerful. Dub, I'm gonna let you jump in here. I'm gonna let you jump in the middle. I'm not finished my point, but I hear you want to get in. Dub, go ahead. So before I finish my point, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was that, you know, that particular episode, and Mrs. S. Dub is sitting right here, Mrs. Dub sitting right here. She can attest to it. Yo, personally, I was watching the show. You know, I watch it. Yo, personally, I was like hurt, and I don't have kids as of yet, and I was just looking at it like, damn. And when she asked me like, why was I, you know, such like, you know, caught off guard, I was like, I didn't even say nothing about it being black or white. The first thing I said, I was like, damn, that's a dad that has to, you know, that tried to do everything the right way.
Yeah.
Tried to make sure that his son had the best, you know, for their situation, and just that split moment, he's gone. And they're trying to assassinate his character.
But see, that's what they do. That's what they do.
As a man, that's hurtful to actually try to fathom that as a father.
Tony, you was gonna say something,
right? And the whole episode, you know, I'm looking like, okay, because again, I'm wondering like how are they gonna wrap this up? And I'm thinking, as they're presenting it, you know, well, you know, something's going on. You know, he pulled a gun, and they talk to the officer, and it's like you're taken through the emotions and the thoughts that they want you to. And when they showed that part about the knife, where they moved him and you saw the knife,
right?
You know, my response was, you know, that just goes to show you parents don't always know what their children are doing, you know, and that was it for me. Like that was the conclusion. You know, he pulled a knife on him, you know, and again, my significant other, when they showed I didn't see the first time they showed the video,
right?
And he was like, yeah, he absolutely, you know, you saw it. It's unquestionable.
But you know
he
what?
Pulled something.
You know what's funny about that, Tony? As I was watching it, you had that reaction, and your partner had that reaction, but I had the opposite reaction. My reaction was he just got framed.
Yep.
That was what my reaction was. And for those folks who don't watch Scandal, I'll be honest with you, it's the rare episode of a serialized television show that you do not have to have history. You do not have to watch it last week. You do not have to watch it next week. You can go online and you can find the episode that aired for Scandal on Big Bro Joe's 40 whatever it was birthday on March 5th. And because his birthday just passed, so feel free to hit us up in social media, call us up and say thank you and bless you and happy birthday and blessed earth strong to this fool. But in all seriousness, when you watch that episode, you ain't gotta have no history with it. And the way it played out, it was like, yo, they addressed every single person's position. They had the activist that was out there. They had the father who was out there. They had the police officer who was out there. And, of course, Olivia Pope, who is played by Kerry Washington, was there because obviously it's her show and what her position was. But one of the most powerful things in that episode, I want you guys all to comment on this, on whatever piece it is that I say, dub you up first on this. But there was a couple of things that I found powerful about it. I don't want to make this about Scandal, but I'm glad Tony brought this up because it is very, very pivotal to the conversation that we're having. The first piece was when the dude said to her, you don't get to come out here and get your race card stamped. You just got two you just got a Republican elected twice. That was the first thing. The second thing was when the officer had his breakdown and everything he said. Not everything, but I would say about 90% of what he was saying, I agreed with him because of the spirit of what he was saying. Now, he came from a place that was very dismissive and racist and kind of nasty about it. But the gist of what he was saying was, yo, I come from the suburbs to protect y'all from y'all, and you don't even teach your children to respect me, not just as a white man. Ain't got nothing to do with that. It's the badge and it's the authority, and that is a problem. Dub. Correct me and tell me how wrong I am.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and to be honest with you, when that scene after he actually released all of that, we sat here speechless. I swear on my hand to God, both of us didn't say not one word about it or anything. To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying. So I won't say everything that he said was correct, but I for some reason I understood where he was coming from, and some of the points he was making was valid, and then some points was just like off the chain. I was like, man, whatever you talking about, you know what I'm saying? But I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that felt the same way that you did, and it looks like hold on, it looks like we may have a caller or somebody to jump in. Caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, y'all. I just wanted to call in to comment. This is Sabrina, Mrs. Dub, as K Dub was just referring to me as.
Hey, boo.
But I want to say that
I can't get my hey boo back.
Oh, hey, boo! I didn't even hear you. I'm sorry. I had the phone off.
Go ahead. What you want to get in on?
I wanted to say we just have to really focus in on how the media has really captivated us to the point where, like the young lady that was speaking earlier said, when you automatically thought to the negative when you saw that knife, because I did the same thing, and it almost makes me nervous and anxious because it's scary how the media can take our minds and make us think so negatively towards our own people, towards our own faith. We always want to question. It's almost made us gotten to the point where we're all becoming wishy-washy with everything that we call beliefs. When you look at TV now, you allow these people to direct your mind and what you think. That episode took me from one high to being crying to being mad. I mean, it just turned me all around. But there were so many important points on there that showed how the media can contradict your mind and make you think always the worst.
Joe?
Hey, I'm gonna put 3 points in here real quick. That portion where the activist, he walking out there strutting around with his chest.
His name was Marcus, by the way.
Okay, whatever. Peacocking and stuff like that, and trying to call Olivia out. That's that to me. I saw some things. I saw that crab in the barrel mentality a little bit, where you're going to sit there and say, just because, she works for the White House, just because she works out in the public and because she does certain things, she doesn't have a sense of urgency for her people. That kind of pissed me off at first because he was grandstanding for me a little bit.
Yep.
Now, I understood from the position that he was coming, but, we have a lot of politicians and we have a lot of activists and we got a lot of people who want to sit out there. They want to be them fake folks who want to pretend like they are all about the people. But then the portion where he actually turned around and he rolled that young man over and they saw the knife. And then, him and Olivia had to back up because the pops still stood by his conviction that his son did not carry a knife, period. And he made that very evident, plain and clear. So I got to give it out to them. But then, you know what? That whole piece brought me back. When Shonda put this whole thing together, it brought me back to one movie. And I'm going to have to say it. The movie for me was A Time to Kill.
You're damn right. And I hope it burn in hell.
Well, and you know what? That's the good part, but that wasn't the one. My part was when Matthew McConaughey was making his final points in the courtroom. And he had everybody close their eyes. And the last words he said was, imagine if she was white.
Yeah.
Yep.
Boom. Mic drop. I was
Yeah,
done.
He just dropped the mic, Sabrina and Dub. He just dropped the mic, and you know, as I was watching the activist whose name was Marcus, and I was clowning earlier, but coincidentally, that's what his name was. I was conflicted by him, and the reason why I was conflicted by him is because I actually partly agreed with him, but where he lost me was as a viewer because I watched the show. I know Olivia Pope. But as someone who was standing there next to her, he didn't know her.
Right.
So he didn't have the right to say the things to her that he was saying to her. And I'll tell you the other part that was very, very powerful, Dub and Sabrina, that I want y'all to comment on. You know, after it was resolved and, you know, it was proven that they framed the young man, which, you know, I don't know how many times this happens, but I would guess that more times than not. And the next story that we're going to get to after this, we'll kind of talk about, you know, how police and citizens get shot and how those things kind of relate to each other. But what really, really, really moved me, and it's fictional, but when everything was resolved and Olivia took him to meet the president and how it was just two men. Doesn't matter if it was a white man. Doesn't matter if it was a black man. What mattered was you had two men who were fathers who lost sons, who one of them was more recent than the other, and he felt just compelled to let himself go and grieve. And I'd be honest with you, man, unless it's Little House on the Prairie, I don't normally get emotional when I'm watching television. Man, I watched Little House. I did. I get emotional all the time when I watch Little House. It's like the only show I get emotional when I watch.
Come on, Paul.
Well, Charles Ingalls / Michael Landon, he be hitting my heart. But real talk, I ain't gonna lie, yo. When Mary lost her sight, I cried right there with him, and every time I watch it, I cry with him. But seriously, you saw this man. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Look, asking that question. That last little piece that we know is so hypothetical. I mean, that's never going to happen. That's never what happened. A lot of the things that happened in that episode has happened in real life. Our president really waited too late to me to respond to what was going on, but that's another topic. That little last scene was a cherry on top of all that BS that they had fed into other people's minds about what situations happened, a lot to do with our people, and how they should think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the episode was.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. Because that
didn't do nothing but open up people's minds to think negatively, you know, about the situation, whether it be the other way or not. It's just that, to me, I think that it just seems like it's just the media has just become so involved in our lives. It's ridiculous. I wish I could cut my TV off, but I'm gonna be honest. If I didn't have my TV, if I didn't have no television, I probably would lose my mind. But it's dangerous, you know, what we see on TV all the time.
Tony?
And see, I have to disagree. I think that she did an excellent job of representing, you know, each character showed kind of like a different viewpoint, I think. And I think that all the scenes were very symbolic, and especially that last scene, you know, for me, kind of the big picture is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're white or black. It doesn't matter, you know, whether you're rich or poor. When you lose a child, that pain is unmatchable, and you know it doesn't matter what color your child is. So, you know, for people to feel like, oh, well, they can't relate, they don't understand, you know, losing a child is losing a child is losing a child. Doesn't matter, you know, yeah, maybe a little more difficult to swallow if, you know, they're taken away suddenly, you know, versus, you know, them being ill. But I just think that last scene was just so poignant in that, you know, kind of it touched everyone. You can relate to, thank God I still have my child, but what if something happened to them?
Yeah, and I mean, we all were actually watching it, having that feeling, and it was mixed. You know what I mean? I you know, as I'm watching that scene, I had the reaction that I had, and everybody who's listening, everybody as part of the panel, had their, you know, individual reactions to that particular scene. And you know, the whole show is fictional. And so we know that there's going to be some elements of we got to tie it up with a nice happy ending. But, I actually had a Facebook post the next day, which got a lot of attention. And in it, I basically said that I thought that was the greatest episode of Scandal that I had ever seen. But I think everybody who is responding to this post, who actually watched the show, know that it ain't going to go down like that in real life. And if you are paying attention to the fact that I, on this show, for many shows, read the names of unarmed, not just people, but black people, particularly black men, who had been shot and killed by police on the street of United States of America. And the fact that that list can grow week after week is an absolute problem. So when I watched that episode, that's where I was coming from. That's what touched me. And, you throw people like Trayvon Martin in there, and you throw people like Jordan Davis in there who hadn't been killed by police officers, but, they're unarmed and killed. And we get the whole thing about black on black crime and how Pookie kills Day Day. We get that. We absolutely get that. I'm not one of those people that's going to come on the show and be more mad about a white man or a cop killing a black kid than I am about a black kid killing a black kid. There should be no killing at all. However, when you're talking about somebody of authority and you look at the precedent that has been set, and you look at the fact that when you look at history and you look at the numbers and you look at how many black men are killed by police versus how many people who are not black men who are killed by police, I, as a talk show host, I, as someone who is a person who pays attention to social consciousness as well as media, as well as what's going on in the community, I would be irresponsible if I came on the air and I did not point out the differences in how we're treated in the street versus how anybody who does not have a bunch of melanin in their body is treated on the street. Ain't no half step on Marcus J.